LEGO Technic is the redstone of Minecraft, but for all 111 sets they've released, only one redstone component has ever been included, and it's the ore. So in this video, I created a checklist of every common redstone component in Minecraft, and I'm going to work my way to the top of the list, starting at the most basic of them all, redstone dust, and building my way up to the most complicated blocks. LEGO, you better start taking notes. In order to complete the two final builds, I need to first build a bunch of different items from 3 different tiers, starting at the very bottom with redstone dust. On the surface, I'll use a variation of small red tiles to create the look of redstone, but to actually make it functional, we have to go underground. Not that deep. There we go. I'll use a red Technic axle since it's redstone, and using red ones just makes the most sense. Now we can build a redstone repeater, which is most commonly used to renew the signal of redstone. So in our case, wherever we have to add a coupling to the axles to make them longer, I'll add one of these small assemblies on top. Alright, that's the simplest tier complete, and now that we have a way to transmit the redstone signal, we can move up to the activation, starting with a button. I want these builds to be minifigure scale, meaning every bit of mechanism has to be contained below the ground since nothing will fit in a 2x2 block. So I'll use these 2 little pieces for a button, then I can make an assembly using some of these bendy bricks that can be put in a square shape to make sure that the button is reset in the right spot after being pressed. And why don't I build a working redstone torch to show that each activation actually works? Wait, redstone is a power source and doesn't need a button to power it. Oh well, it's the thought that counts anyways. Since the design LEGO uses incorporates a piece with a hole in it, I'll just swap out the 2 transparent pieces for red ones, and then use this red colored light brick to shoot its beam to the top of the torch. Then we can combine the 2 and build them into a hill to cover up all the mechanisms. Then when the button is pressed, the whole assembly moves downwards to hit a lever and push up on the light brick. And speaking of levers, that's next on our list. I use some 1.5 thick plates to give the lever a raised up effect. Then underneath I'll use some Technic pieces to activate the torch. Now when I turn the lever, it turns the light on and off. What about a pressure plate? A simple 2x2 tile works for the looks, but for the mechanism I'll use the same design as the button. Wait, no Steve, don't walk on that. Then, for the final bit of redstone in this level, let's see if we can make a working tripwire. I'll add a spot for this clear beam to sit and then build up some brown bricks around it. It doesn't activate anything, but it works how I'd imagine a tripwire does. Okay, now that we have a way to transfer the redstone and multiple ways to activate it, we can build all the blocks and items that can be powered by redstone. I'll start with a piston since it was really cool when I built the giant one. Steve, you got this one for me. Good job, Steve. We can flip the lever back and forth and it extends and retracts the little piston. Now I want to launch things, like you should launch your finger right into the subscribe button. But I don't want to just send an arrow a couple steps forward, so I'll build 2 green platforms and raise them up high so that I can fit a mechanism below them that launches an arrow when you pull the lever back. We can use this clear beam piece to hold the arrow and then connect it to an axle that will hold it so when the lever is pulled back and this rubber band pulls the arrow forward, it can complete an arcing motion. Wow, I just explained like an hour of building in 20 seconds. Let's see what I can do up against some mobs. Here's a skeleton. What about a zombie? And let's try a goat. And also a pig. And finally, let's see if Steve can hold up against it. Oh, that had to hurt. Next up, I want to see if I can make a door open when a lever or pressure plate is activated. First, let's build a door. I use some of these plates with holes in them so I have a place to put a beam and can turn the door. In Minecraft, standing on a pressure plate that is in front of a door holds it open, but turning a small downward motion into a full 90-degree rotation would be very hard, so instead I'll use a lever that works the same in the game. I can hook a gear to this door and a gear rack to the beam connected to the lever and a track for it to sit on. Then when the lever is flipped, the door swings open. That's really satisfying to play with. LEGO, look at this mechanism. Like, literally, why haven't you hired me yet? Now I want to see if I can make a working minecart with rails. I'll start by stacking a bunch of 1x2 plates. Then I can use these gray pieces on either side to get a design that fits in the constraints of building minifig scale. Then we can add a frame underneath. Oh, I'll need 2 of those. There we go. And then we just need to build a minecart and put Steve in it. Here we go. Perfect. It might have a bit of a deadly ending, but it gets the job done. Now let's build a working Minecraft jukebox. Okay, I have this music disc. Now let's see what it plays. Wow, what a beautiful song. Now that I've built ways to transmit redstone, methods for activating it, and the actual mechanism blocks themselves, I can finally build some redstone machines. But first, let's do a speed round of the blocks I can't give functionality, but would still be cool to build in LEGO. Here's a simple way to build a redstone lamp. It uses the bottom part of a swivel Lego piece on all sides to give it the windowed look. What about a daylight detector? In the game it has a 3x3 pattern on the top, but to stay within the 2x2 bricks, I'll just use 4 tan studs to recreate it. And how about we build a dropper, since we already made a dispenser? A dropper has a triangle mouth, so I'll use these pieces, including some of these cheese wedges, to create the look of the mouth. Thanks, Steve. And finally, before we get to the final builds, what about a trap chest? There isn't much different about normal chests from trap chests, but I used a trans red piece under the handle to make it look like the redstone dust in the game. And there we go, that's 4 speed builds of redstone blocks. And now let's get on to the first redstone contraption, a 2x2 piston door. I can use 2 small circuit cube motors and these pieces that can gear the rotation way down and turn it 90 degrees. If I put an arm on it, then I can turn the rotation movement of the motor into back and forth movement in the pistons. Then I hooked it to the axles and tested it out. But I forgot that unless the motor output was free to move up and down, it would take the pistons with it, which is definitely not what I want. So I spent even more time making these rectangular assemblies which can house the rotating end of the mechanism so that it pushes back and forth, not up and down, like the linear actuator I made in this video. Which sorta worked, but the problem is that everything shifts around too much, causing things to get unaligned. I tried lots of different things like this, nope, and this, nope, and this, nope, and nope, nope, nope. Okay, so I finally got it working. I used some of these rail pieces to hold everything in place more accurately, and then I built up the walls at the front without anything actually sitting on top of the sliding part, which I originally tried, but it made it jam up. I also switched to just using one motor because it guarantees they spin at the exact same speed. Okay, now let's test it out. Let's see if Steve approves. And finally, let's move on to making a working flying machine. Working is a loose term. I've never actually built one in Minecraft either, so let's do that too so I know what I'm doing. In Lego, I'll add a row of flat tiles on the surface and then spend way too long making a chain where every 5th link is a wide version. Then I can hook it up to some gears, put a long platform underneath the top chain to support it, and then work on motorizing it.
Why does that work so fast? I barely did anything.
I wonder how RJMBricks is doing in the game. Okay, so I think if I place an observer on this piston here and then add 2 slime blocks on the end, that should be 1/2 of the mechanism. But I've never built this before, so I don't really know. Hopefully Google isn't letting me down. Then I can do the same on the other side and just add the final slime blocks, and I think breaking this redstone block will make it work. Okay, awesome. So the machine has a kind of stop-start motion, so I'm hoping that this tread mechanism will suffice. We can hook a Technic brick to this arm, and then when it spins, every time it rotates, it will push one of the tread links forward. But it's way too fast, so I need to gear it down. Okay, now when the motor is on, it pushes each long tread link and makes an intermittent motion.
That's much better.
Then we can hook this horribly built flying machine on top, and there we go. And there you have it. I just built questionably working Minecraft redstone in Lego. And at 100k likes, I'll make a working 2x2 piston door to the scale of my original piston. Subscribe!